Pennies Going in Raw is a production of iHeartRadio. The opinions expressed in the following podcast are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide education and entertainment about the financial industry and the stock market. Enjoy!
On this episode of Pennies Going in Raw, we interview the real NASA, discuss more technical analysis, and take some viewer questions.
You find out life's this game of pennies.
Oh, you guys know we only have a 40% runner. Hello, 40% is a fucking killing.
We've been compliant for too long. It's time we go to war.
I don't have a Roth.
Hugh knows so much about the market that his brain doesn't have enough room for grammar.
Hey, who told me about IDEX? It's going up a shit ton now.
We're up 4%, baby.
No way.
4 fucking percent.
You asked the exact same question with 2 words different.
It's like, man, I just got dick whipped for like 20%, and now that f***er's up like 50.
I bet Warren Buffett never did that.
I'm just making this voice memo to call out unusual whales to a fight.
The pennies we need are everywhere around us.
Pennies.
Going in Raw.
Featuring Dan, Deity of Dips,
And Hugh, honey.
Produced by Vinny.
And Christian.
Let's go, baby.
Welcome back to another episode of Pennies Going in Raw. Today is Wednesday, August the 10th, and we've got the real NASA, aka Frog, with us, and we're still in that range on SPY. We haven't broken out of it. We're still in the chop fest. We talked about it on Saturday. What can we expect? Do we just wait for the chop? Do you play the chop? I mean, there are plays to be made, but I mean, the obvious ones aren't quite sticking right out at you.
First off, NASA, thank you so much for coming on, brother. We met in Reno basically a year ago in 2 weeks, which is pretty wild. And it's just insane, the following that you've built, and we'll get into that. But to Dan, your point, yeah, we were talking about it with the commish. We were talking about it with Adam Sivler trades. And essentially we talked about that 417.50 mark being the spot, being that big brick wall. And I think the high on SPY Monday was 417.62. So, again, I know we said it last week, but not to toot our own horns, because I've already gotten like maybe 7 or 8 tweets about it. But
yeah, and kind of go over just as a reminder what you guys said about the 417 and what it hit and why that was important.
Yeah, if you guys look back, and so I'm going to use the chart that I prefer, which is the 180-day 4-hour chart. If you go back to that, what is that, like beginning of June range, it was 7 candles on the 4-hour chart. And, the one thing that we talked about so not last episode, but 2 episodes ago, was that bulls don't want 2 more green days, because then we're following the same exact pattern of that early June. And of course, we got 2 green days, and the 3rd day, which was this Monday, we popped up and we went for that 417 mark. And personally, I thought that there was a pretty good chance that we were going to break out of that range. And then we rejected so damn hard. And the past, 2 or 3 days has just been, a pretty big reckoning thus far. And that 417.50 is just going to continue to be that brick wall. And I think, we could say what we want, and tomorrow we'll find out for sure. But, even if CPI data is good, for me personally to want to be a long buyer, I'm going to need us to go test 420, 421 on good volume, come back, retest that area, and hold that with good volume. Because if we just go up on CPI tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, and it's not on good volume, and it's just a quick pop, I'm not trusting that. I need to see the foundation and the mold work, being built and the effort being put in there,
Oh yeah, for sure. Do you have anything for that, NASA?
Yeah, no, I agree. Adam said exactly what we were all thinking. Same with Hugh. I think 418, big spot. You could get more technical for 1750, 65, whatever you want to call it. The volume, because it's summer, I mean, hedge fund managers are out. Everybody's seeing, I think volume was under 30 million again today. So it's been a low volume market. Today, I think it was a $2 range. So opportunities are there. But a lot of people are forcing trades because they're used to, 100 million on SPY volume. And right now, I mean, like you said, Hugh, you got to get through that 418 and test 420, 421 with volume. And the issue is the volume's just not there. And these big levels have to get taken out or you're not going any higher. And so I'd like to see 418 break. I'd like to see 420 get tested. We've come from 462 basically in the past month and a half or so. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do retest some like 406 levels or 404s or 400 even. But
yeah,
we've come a long way. We're still, I think, I could be wrong. Seems like a bear market rally. CPI will tell us more in my opinion. But 418, 420 have to go if you want to go higher. If not, I think we're headed back to 406 and 400. So it's going to be interesting. I don't really put too much faith in what they have to say with those numbers tomorrow. But they're going to determine whether we're going to pop through 418 or if we're going to come back down to 400 and test that big spot again, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just to your point, is that if I were along personally, to NASA's point, about the numbers and not really trusting them, the numbers are going to be skewed how really the administration wants them to be skewed. You could be a Democrat, you could be a Republican, you could be an independent, how you could be a Canadian. And personally, I don't think that these numbers matter because whatever administration is currently controlling the White House, I think is how they're going to try and skew the numbers. And with that being said, one of the things to note with that is that the algorithms are just going to interpret those. They're not even going to interpret their numbers. They're going to do what they want to do. Currently we've seen bad news is good news. That's not because every 33-year-old and every 35-year-old who works at KPMG is all of a sudden deciding that they're going to buy the dip. No, these are the algorithms saying that they're inside a buy sequence and they're going to buy it no matter what the news is. Okay, that's what's going on. It's not because, me, NASA, and Dan are sitting together all saying that we're going to go all in on SPY when if CPI data is terrible. Now, that being said, if I'm a true bull, we've had, as NASA mentioned, an incredible bounce off of those 362 lows. Incredible bounce. And with that, if I'm a bull, I honestly would like RSI. I would like technicals to cool off a little bit. And personally, I wouldn't even mind if CPI was the dip that created like a 400 test. I personally think that if we came down to that 400 level, that like NASA just talked to, that 402, 400 level, and we created consolidation, and then towards midterms, we ran back up, and again, it's the same way that one of my mentors always used to tell me that triple tops won't hold and triple bottoms won't hold, and more times than not. And so I would personally, like I said, like to see I'll come back down, let the technicals cool off, hit that 400, and then curl back up towards, and make a really solid base of 400, curl back up towards that 417. Now you have the technicals on your side and they're not so hot, and now you can go for that 420. And hell, at that point, at that rate, I think that you can even go for 430 without cooling off, because again, it's like a stair stepper. You can't run up all the stairs, because once you get to the middle platform, you're going to need to take a breather. Me personally, I would like to see us take a breather for a few, and of course we've taken a breather for a few days here inside this range. However, you don't want the SPY to consolidate at resistance. Like that's not what we want, because it's probably going to reject, unless, again, like NASA mentioned, we have 100 million to the upside. And me personally, if I'm a bull, the path to true success and the easiest path to success is going to be that dip to 402, 400, consolidate there, let CPI sink in, let, the Fed talk, let all that nonsense get out, and then go for that 417 again.
Yeah, and one thing, my fault. I was just gonna add, last CPI, they kind of got ahead of it, right? The White House, they came out the day before. They came out on stage. They gave an announcement. It's gonna be worse. Don't worry about it. They kind of front loaded that event, and like you said, bad news was still good news. This time they didn't get ahead of it. They didn't come out today at that meeting and really mention it. So it's going to be interesting. I think it might come on right on par, but still, if you get 8.7, I don't think 8.7 on CPI is good, especially when we've been hitting 8s for how long. So it could be a bad news as good news, but they didn't front load or front run this event and try to cool it off and let you guys know. So that's one thing to note.
And to your point on that, with all these CPI numbers and stuff like that, one of the things that we've been talking a lot about is that a lot of promises were made last Fed meeting. What was this?
What was it? Inflation? We're done. Like no more.
I think it was like 2 weeks ago tomorrow or something. Powell was making bold promises that would be unhistorical if even we met Barr. And again, is that if obviously the market's forward looking, so that was super bullish. However, I think that if we don't see, if we come onto par, I do think that from an economic standpoint, I don't think that's something that we want to see. Obviously, we want to see a pretty strict reduction, because again, is that, two things to note here is that we started this in March. Okay. Now we've been going on this for 6 months, basically 5 to 6 months. So now if we're not seeing any improvement after 5 to 6 months of raising rates, of, the Fed tightening, then that's something where, okay, now we're a little worried, because now we're really not making any progress and time is really a ticking. I mean, hell, in March, the Fed was saying that they wanted to be back to 3% inflation by the end of the year. Hell, at this rate, we're not even going to get underneath 7%, 8%. So I think that, and of course, we could buy the bad news tomorrow, but the one thing to note is that when the job and the labor market numbers came out, this was the first time, what was it, last Wednesday? This was the first time that the labor market was showing a weaker market. And of course, the Fed said that they were becoming aggressive because they could, because the labor market was strong. So now that we're seeing a weaker labor market, that plays into this as well. And of course, the labor market lags the Fed by about 6 to 8 months. So now we're seeing a weaker labor market earlier than we originally thought, which I think will play a hand into this. The Fed really needs inflation to start coming down, or else they're kind of setting themselves up for even more failure down the road. Because if the labor market really starts to weaken, unemployment really starts to rise, the Fed's going to have to decide, do they continue down this path of Fed tightening, which they have to because inflation is so high? However, at that rate, you're going to see unemployment jump 2-3%. And, that's just something that we really don't, obviously want to see.
All right. Well, we heard you guys mention the 400, the 404s, but that really doesn't seem like too far from where we were, especially seeing as like just a month ago, we were seeing these like 20, 30 point moves on SPY just within a week or so's time. Is it just kind of people aren't exactly reacting to the Fed stuff as much? And are there any catalysts that really could drive us down aside from just the Fed and other government things? Like, could monkeypox epidemic fuck us over again?
I think there's monkeypox, and then there's that new one that just came out in China they're talking about. I can't even say the name, but I think there was like 35 cases that came out and during their lockdown. You got Taiwan, China tensions. You still got Ukraine, Russia going on. But I think the biggest thing right now is, like you said, the unemployment. the job market. You had Walmart laying people off last week. That killed Walmart. You have companies like Microsoft, Google, all slowing hiring. So I think that's going to be a big one. Monkeypox, I'm not so worried about monkeypox, but that one epidemic that they're starting to call it in China right now, I can't even say the name of the virus, but that's picking up headlines. But for me, it should be fairly quiet, I believe, until September, because it's a blackout period essentially. So I think it'll be quiet until then in terms of after CPI. There'll be some events. Bullard will talk, Jay Powell, like things like that. But I think really Taiwan and China is going to be a big one. And then that virus, monkeypox, yeah, I mean, Siga to the moon, I guess. But I think the new one that starts with the L, I can't even say it, is starting to get headlines right now. And they're more worried about that. But basically just China and Taiwan and then the tensions we're having with China. So other than those two things and unemployment, I mean, the economy it's not looking good in terms of macro, but at the same time, with this low volume and hedge fund managers gone during summer, I don't think too many people, they're just riding the wave right now. Because, I mean, if you're going from 360 to 420, I mean, obviously just buy calls, buy shares, ride it up. But a lot of these people, when it sells off, or if it does sell off, they're not going to know why. They're not going to understand why it's selling off. What do I do? Like, they're still going to be buying calls. And it's going to be the same way people bought calls on that first sell off to 360 every day, just hoping. And that's
lost all those 2020 gains. Yeah,
exactly. And that's the big thing is capital preservation right now. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of stuff in there with China, Taiwan, us, unemployment. So it's scary in that fact, and the macro is terrible. But
yeah, I mean, when you put the Russia, Ukraine, and then if you toss on the Taiwan and China thing together, I mean, it just screams like a worldwide disaster incoming.
Screams SPY all-time highs, apparently.
Yeah, no, I mean, it just makes no sense, right?
Yeah. No, the last thing that I'll just say is that unemployment rates are terrible for a whole host of reasons. But I think that tomorrow's CPI, I think it comes in at parity. And personally, like I said, is that being a bull, being a pro bull, like I said, I really would like this to be the dip before we really do test, like 430, 440. And then the last thing is I know that we were talking about before we get into the interview, Dan, NASA had NVAX puts overnight, and I know that we were talking about the different outbreaks and stuff like that. Yeah. Do you want to talk about that before we go into the interview?
Yeah, no, let's go into it. If you want to dive into that real quick, NASA, before we kind of get into your story. I had to browse at your Twitter earlier today, and it was just all people with fucking 5,000 to 10,000% gains on options. So I mean, let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point of options, right? Leverage your money. So I typically don't play earnings. Everybody knows that. For the most part, I call it the Ivy flush. So, there's the Ivy crush into earnings where you run up and Ivy gets high, Greeks get juiced. And even if the stocks stay stagnant, you can make money. And then the next day you get crushed. Well, on the other side of that coin's the flush. So when those premiums go worthless, essentially, people will try just to sell them and get whatever they can. And a lot of the times, like I did it with Apps and Upstart today, I bought the dip this morning and I was able to take both of those 100%. So typically I'll do that because it's safer. But NVAX was an exception because I saw that implied move. So 9 out of 10 times, I'd say 8 out of 10 times, you're going to lose on earnings because market makers price in the implied move based on historical data, what's supposed to happen based on their models. And they're just going to collect premium off you guys because the Greeks come down and you get crushed. But I saw something in NVAX that was interesting. I saw that they were implying a 14% move. I think it was 13.9%. So I don't know if you've watched NVAX in the past. I'm sure you have seen it, but it has 15 to 20% moves on a day with no news, where it will just pop 15% or sell 15% all the time. And I'm thinking to myself, well, NVAX just had news the other day about their COVID vaccine already. It's nowhere to be found. COVID's essentially eradicated 2 years later, still nothing to show. And NVAX was a $3 stock before that. And I see 14%, I go look at the contracts. Yeah, the IV was about 200%. So typically that's why I stay away. But when I see the $40 puts are $30, which is 17 out the money at the time, my go-to is, well, Novavax, like I said it on live before close, I'm like, I think Novavax sells off 30%. Like their earnings are going to be terrible. I mean, their earnings are going to be terrible. They have no product. They keep getting hit with these issues. They had, I think it was Wall Street Journal or something a couple months ago came out and basically called them a fraud like they've done Sava. And they X, Y, and Z, all stuff like that. But when I see that 14% implied move, and I just know that Novavax has the potential to sell 30% because it could sell 15, 20% with no news. So when I see that, I'm like, okay, well, if it's a 14% move, it puts it here. But if it gets that 30% move that I think it's capable of, what strike could I take? So I was looking at 40s and 35s. And those 35s, a bunch of people in the room took 40s because they were safer. And they were like $30. Those things went to like 3 or 2 or 3 or something like that. And I saw the 35s, and the 35s were $10. So in my mind, all right, if I'm going to take an earnings play, which I never do, I play the next day on the flush. What's something I'm willing to risk? Okay, $10 per. If it sells 30, it puts us down here around 35. What's the risk? $10 per. What's the reward? Well, if I'm right, they go from 10, 15 strikes out the money to 1 or 2. And what's that 1 or 2 strike out the money right now? It's $2, $3. So I just figure, it's worth a shot here because the risk reward's there. And this implied move, I just felt like that 14% market makers let that one slip through their hands. They were busy with Upstart or something like that, and they kind of just didn't respect what Novavax can do to either side. And then it got halted after hours, and you got 190 million on revenue when you needed you expected 900
that gets you
million.
fucking bricked up as an options trader, having options going into it, and you can't even sell it. You just know your fucking money's
yeah,
going
I was
up.
like, it's halted. What's the news? And then 190 million revenue versus 900 expected, and you cut forward guidance by 50%, and it went from 57 at close. It unhalted and dropped all the way down to 37. And I'm loaded in these 35s, but the risk is $10 per. They opened up about 800% this morning. I think they're going for 80 something bucks at open, and I sold them there and had a cushion for the rest of the day. But typically I won't do it. Like, I never take earnings, but when you have a move like that, and you could see the implied move is 14% on a name that moves 20% without news, it's $10. I'll take that risk 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing because, I mean, a lot of traders always talk about edge, right? And it seems like your edge for that, you had a lot of different types. Obviously, your knowledge of the stock, you talked about the implied move, the implied volume, et cetera, et cetera. Could you kind of rank those in importance of what helped you make that trade? Because, I mean, it seems like your knowledge of the stock and how much it moved played without news, played such a big part in you doing something you don't usually do, playing this as an earnings play.
Yeah, so I guess ranking it, always for me, volume's always first. And I didn't mention it, but if you look at the 3-minute chart into close, I posted it on Twitter yesterday. You can actually see the 3 minutes right before close, there was massive volume to the sell side. If you look at it, I think that last 10 minutes got more sells and more volume than the whole day combined almost. So I see massive sells going into close, and I'm like, I'm sure nobody knew bad earnings was coming, right? So you see massive volume sell off. I know that, so like volume's 1, and then I know what this stock can do. I know the ferocity, what it's capable of, so that's 2. And then 3, I understand Novavax has been getting all this bad news recently. They have no COVID drug, and I wasn't expecting much from them. And coming into close, it made sense once it got unhalted and dropped 33% instantly. It made sense why they dumped at 57 before close. I mean, if you look at the 3-minute, these guys were selling heavy blocks right into close, and wasn't really too much flow because flow gets construed like during earnings, but that volume was definitely 1 because it gave me the idea like, okay, someone's dumping this. 2 was, I know this thing can move 30%. It does it. I've seen it happen. If you looked at it when it was $200, $300 and it was doing this, it's the same story. So I knew earnings weren't going to be good and had that capability just to die. And their numbers were terrible. So it's kind of just putting everything together like a puzzle. And that volume into close really gave me conviction to hold. I actually asked the room because I bought them at 10 and they went to 12. I'm like, yo, I never play earnings. Should I just hold them? And they're like, sell them. I'm like, nah. I know what I'm doing on this one. Like, I never trade earnings. I feel comfortable. And the risk reward.
Nice. Gaslight them a little bit. Let them ask them what to do and then say, fuck y'all, I'm not doing that.
Well, I'm on voice. I'm speaking, you know? So it's like at $10. It's $10 per. And it's like that volume into close was wicked. Like, relative to the whole day, got more volume in that last 10 minutes than the whole day combined. So someone was dumping heavy shares for the last 10 minutes and it ended up working really well. A lot of people made a lot of money, like life-changing money. That's one of those plays where you buy them at 30 if you bought the 40s. They go to 300. I mean, you make...
Yeah, we take those.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You make 10, 15 grand and you have a smaller account off $900 or something. Like, that's why I do it, because like stuff like that's what gets me going in the morning. That's the only reason I still do it. Like, the room's free. For me, it's like, oh shit, like your life has changed. Like, someone bought his wife an engagement ring, bought a car. Like if I can do that, like, why not? And at $10 or $30 per, it's not like Upstart, where Upstart, you know, was $300 for 5 out the money. These were $30 for 10 out the money or $10 for 15. And by open, they were either in the money or 2 out the money, and it all just worked out perfectly. And that's the only time I will play an earnings play is when I see that volume line up with the thesis.
All right, well, with all that being said, I mean, you just mentioned it, like you knew all this stuff about it. So I think now kind of getting into like how you started, and I think one of the bigger parts is talking about your losses along the way, when you thought about quitting, what made you not, and then like that aha moment that kind of got you, oh shit, I can do this, and this is my strategy, and how you developed it.
Yeah.
Loaded question right there.
So I originally started, I always tell this story. Actually, it's the second podcast I've been on. I went on trading camp, which was awesome. And I thought I'd never do one again unless it's PGR. And fast forward a couple months and I'm here with the boys. So like,
let's go.
I thought I was going to go to the league. Like, I thought I'm going to the NFL, full ride to college. Like, I'm gonna do it. Like,
where'd you play?
Nowhere, bro. Fuck, I didn't nowhere. I'm not going to the league. Like, but, you know, I
thought whenever you say you like in college,
I thought I was gonna get a full ride, play maybe FSU, go to the league. You know, I'm just that guy.
Florida State. I'm an Auburn fan.
The whole time, that's never gonna happen. And I was actually I'm in Florida, so I was on the turnpike and bumper to bumper traffic, and someone hit me going 70 while I stopped. Destroyed my back, my neck, like T1 through L something. I got like 12 herniated and bulging discs. Terrible.
Jeez.
So I ended up getting an insurance check for the car. So I was going to buy a Tesla, and I always say this. I was going to buy a Tesla with the check, the lump sum I got. But instead, I bought Tesla. So I was supposed to get a car. Instead, I said, fuck it, and I bought Tesla shares. This was around 100.
Instead of buying a Tesla, you got a Tesla?
Yeah, that's what I tell people.
Instead of buying a Tesla, you bought some Tesla.
Exactly. So I ended up getting shares of Tesla around 100 pre-split, way before that first split. And then I bought some STZ and I bought some QQQ, and I kind of built up a portfolio for probably a year, 2 years. Didn't do anything. Like, I mean, maybe you were up 3-4%, but I was up barely anything for 2 years almost. I had Amazon, I had Tesla, and I bought Shopify at like 90. Right, pre-split, like way long ago.
Shopify was just going up fucking like 5% every day for like a year.
But before that happened, these things didn't move. Like they just it was stocks. Like, okay, I put money here, I'm gonna make more than that 1% I would in the bank. Like, fuck it. And then, you know, next thing I know, Tesla starts actually moving. Shopify starts actually moving. Amazon's going. I'm buying Baba. I'm building up a portfolio. Hugh would love it. I started my IRA like 5 years ago. Like I started building into this and just kind of, all right, well, if I put money here, and then it started to work. And when I started to make I made like 20%. I was like, wait, whoa, this is 20 years in a bank. And then I started to think about it more and more, and I'm like, okay, hold on, there might be something here, right? And it just slowly turned into, I'm never gonna day trade. I don't need to day trade. I got money in here, day trading. 99% of them lose money. I'm not gonna be stupid. Like, I don't need to day trade. I don't have a job. I'm literally just living off dividends and these stocks and whatnot. And I'm just like, let me try day trading. Let me. I have a little bit of money. Let me try day trading. And I started day trading, and it was slow, the same way the stocks were at first. You know, you make some money, you're like, okay, and then next day you lose twice as much. You're like, that sucks. So, you know, it's kind of just consistently just doing it and doing it. But I always felt comfortable because I had that long-term portfolio, and then it started to just explode when Shopify ran to like 1,200, and when Tesla ran to thousands, and Amazon and all these names started to explode. I was like, this was the best decision of my whole life, because I have it in a broker account, like a broker's, like with Morgan Stanley. Like, people laugh at me because at 460 or 470, I was on the phone calling my broker. I'm like, yo, Leslie, sell. And she's like, I can't talk right now. Like, I'll call you back. I can't talk right now. Hung up on me. I've never heard her talk like this to me ever. She's always, okay, I'm executing the order. You'll get a notification. Boom. So 460, 470, like a couple months ago, I'm like, sell this. She's like, I can't talk right now. I got to go, and hung up. And I was like, I'm on voice and Discord. I'm like, yo, she's never talked to me like this. Something weird is happening. Like, this makes no sense. Like, she's never acted like this. Should I call her again? They're like, dude, it's your money. Call her again. So I call her again. Same thing. And then I end up 359.59. All the sales come through. Boom. All of them at once just come through. Like, you see it from 357 to 359.59. She's getting all the sales through.
No, so 359.59. All the sales came through.
And then you get what we know is that massive sell-off all the way back down to where we went to. And I was talking to them, and everybody jokes me because they're like, bro, are you in the 80s? Like, why are you calling your broker to make a trade? And I've mentioned it, I think, in one of your tweets before on the spaces. Like, I do that because I'm not the smartest guy in the, like, I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. Like, Morgan Stanley, she's done this 50 years, and they have a whole team. So if I want to make an impulsive decision, like, she kind of stops me from doing it. But in this situation, like, I called her back. I was like, something's not adding up. Like, sell these. And she actually, the Morgan Stanley, when I had Tesla, to go back to that, it hit $200. And she's like, our analysts say it has a $200 sell rate or buy rating. Like, you might want to sell some. I'm like, well, is that the only analyst? They're like, no, some have a 2,000 price target. And me with a shit ton of Tesla shares, I'm like, wait, what? 200 to 2,000? She's like, some people think it's 2,000, some 200. I'm like, then we're not selling any. And next thing you know, it's at 2,000. And that's where, like, I got my money off shares. So when people are like, you can't make money on shares or investing, I'm like, bullshit. I made all my money on shares and investing and trading. I'm making good money, but nothing compared to my Teslas, Shopify's, and all those over 5-6 years. Nothing near that.
Yeah.
Do you consider those kind of an anomaly though? I mean, like, when you think of like Tesla, Shopify, it's like they went parabolic over. Do you think lucky pick, or do you just attribute that as, or did you do the DD? Like, what?
I want to say I'm the smartest guy ever to live. Warren Buffett's got nothing on me. I'm a genius, but I'm not. I went to go invest. I had a check, and she's like, what do you want to buy? You should get some index funds, some ETFs. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? ETF? Like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, so QQQ, like, it's got a fund with other things in it. It's like an umbrella. I'm like, okay, I'll take some of that. STZ, it's like they do beers, Corona. I'm like, okay, we'll do that. And then she's like, and you could pick some individual stocks. And I was like, she's like, what do you like? And I was like,
well, I wanted to buy a fucking Tesla, but
I'm here to invest. Fuck it. I like Tesla. She's like, okay, we'll get some Tesla. I'm like, I use Netflix. She's like, okay, we'll get Netflix. And I'm like, in Shopify.
So you're just at the
damn, this is kind of fucking cool.
Yeah, I was like, fuck it.
You're like looking around your crib, like Samsung. I like Samsung.
Yeah, bro, I swear. And I was just literally like, Netflix, Tesla, Amazon, QQQ, STZ. And then it slowly built into, you know, your Babas and things of that nature, and kind of grew and expanded, try to get that beta down and really take advantage of the risk. And it was an anomaly, right place, right time for sure. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can't, like, lightning typically doesn't strike twice. You never want to rely on luck and whatnot. But for me, I felt like it worked out perfect. It couldn't have worked out better. Like, I ended up getting my mom in Tesla at $90 or at 100, and Shopify with me at 90. You know, she was a teacher. You know, she made more off that than years of salary. Like, it changed a lot. It changed my life. It changed my mother's life. It changed a lot of people's lives. And that's
Shout out Elon.
Yeah, literally Elon Muskie, right? It changed everything for me, man. It was like, okay, so there is something here. Like, even if it's an anomaly, you know, maybe I won't do it again and get the pick of the litter and be the greatest investor of all time. But at the same time, it's like, this is something that you got to take note of, because this is life-changing. You know, this is real money. This is life-changing. This is something, you know, I can do to really make good money. And when it's good money, it's like generational money, where when I die, I could, like, my sister's my beneficiary. Like, if anything happens to me, she's good forever. So it's like things like that are what put it into perspective. And that's kind of what started the snowball.
That's awesome.
I think, and we got so many comments when we mentioned you were coming on. I think what a lot of people want to know is kind of like you're going throughout your day. People talk about your charts going back and forth from. Could you kind of like explain like what's on your screen? What are you looking at? Like you waking up before pre-market? How do you go about like this whole situation and running a free Discord where you're just helping all these people as well? Obviously, it's a lot to have on one plate.
I guess the phrase that fits best is heavy as the head that wears the crown, right? So this is what I asked for, right? Like before, when I went to Reno, as Hugh mentioned, like, I don't want to say I was a nobody because I had money. I was good. I flew from Florida to Reno alone, hung out with you guys. It was awesome. But in terms of like, when they're like, who are you? I'm like, NASA. They're like, you got a Twitter? I was like, yeah, like 700 followers, right? And it was kind of like I ran a Slack. So I had a Slack with like 500 followers. I almost gave up on Twitter. And,
I remember.
Yeah, right? Like, I was showing people the Slack. Like, look at, like, you know, like, I had no following. And I kind of just always wanted that was free as well. And it was like, I always wanted just to help more people.
He just pulled up to Reno to get followers.
No, I flew across country to meet the boys and get some followers. And
thanks for coming out again, man. That's awesome.
I think you were wearing weren't you wearing like a I don't, if you don't want me to say this, but weren't you wearing like a white Amiri shirt or something? Because I was like, damn, that's an expensive shirt. Because I remember, you know, we were talking. I was like, oh man, he's lucky.
Gotta flex your fin foot, my G.
Well, no, I literally remember thinking, I was like, oh man, like, don't say nothing about the shirt. Don't say nothing about the shirt. Don't say nothing about the. And then we were texting, like, you know, like I want to say like 3 or 4 months later, and you're like, I'm NASA, and I'm like, oh, I remember, and that shirt was expensive. But anyway, sorry, that was just one thing that
Mitch sees people and he's like, yeah, this guy's not very financially responsible with these t-shirts. I'll remember that forever.
Yeah, you could put that in your IRA, Sonny. Like, so yeah, like the screens, I typically I use stock charts, so I have 10 charts up per, and I got 60 up at all times, basically. Spot like
60?
Yeah, about 60, and then I got all the Dow names, which is 90. So
holy shit.
Yeah, because I mean, like one of the specific questions was how many charts and tickers does he have pulled up when he's trading? I sat in a few live voice calls, and the man is able to jump from ticker to ticker and give calls out on quick volume movements. So I'm curious if that is strictly watching multiple charts at a time or more from flow alerts or a mix of both.
Yeah, so it's a mix of both. So stock charts is cool because you got a side tab, and I could see small, large, and mega like growth stocks, like what's going on there. I could see all the bonds, the 5, 10, 30 there. I could see Bitcoin, Ethereum, all those there. And then you could have all 30 Dow names pulled up on the side while you have your 10 on front and then your 10s on other monitors. So for me, it's a mix. I have all that going on. And then on top of that, like I have alerts. So price alerts will go off. Like I have 6 alerts on every Webull name. I have 3 upside and 3 downside alerts for if it hits a certain spot. And then I'll have volume alerts. I have news alerts on. So a bunch of, it's a combination. But every morning when I wake up, I look at futures, rates, economic calendars, because I think you're able to take it. It's like an umbrella, I think of it. if I see, Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ red pre-market, and I see gold, nat gas, and oil green, and then 5, 10, and 30 are up, I'm not going to be focusing on tech names, right? Because unless tech names I think are going to flip and those golds, oils, and nat gases are going to sell off, like I'll focus, strictly on XLE, XLF, and whatnot. So that way, instead of focusing on everything, now I can narrow my search down and focus on that and specifically.
When you say future economic calendar, whatever the fuck that was, is that like the thing on FinViz, but instead it's for futures?
FinViz in the morning, how you could see your futures. So your Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, your gold, oil, and nat gas. It's all those are futures. And then you have your 5, 10, and 30-year rates, and then you have your economic calendar. So I'll be able to say, okay, we have this event coming up, so I probably want to be wary of tech. And NASDAQ, Dow, and SPY are all red this morning. So the hot sectors are going to be XLE, XLF, and nat gas type things like cyclicals and defensive. So I won't focus so heavy on tech because rates are up, gold and oil are hot. So let me focus more on
you're like playing Wordle or Guess Who with the fucking NASDAQ. Yeah.
Puzzle, and it allows you to get a little bit of an edge. And I think that's, for my style of trading, being first, like there's a quote, right? Be smarter, be first, be smarter, or cheat, and I never cheat. So for me, it's how can I be smarter and still be first? So for me, that morning wake-up call where I look at every single thing, I'm like, where should I put more focus on? Where should my attention be? That's the biggest thing for me in the morning because it sets me up for what to look for throughout the day.
All right, and how early are you starting this?
So I start putting out, I put out 4 tickers with the levels I'm watching and then SPY. My spots on SPY, I put those out at 8:30 Eastern Standard every time.
Do you just copy Hugh's or just you copy yours?
I copy Adam Silver and Hugh.
I copy his.
It's just a mix because if you copy one person, they'll know, right? So you got to throw in a few.
Yeah. You just change up by a couple cents.
Get a couple, make a little bit level difference.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yo, you had 416.52. I had 416.51. You jerk.
Yeah, bro.
So close. It's like the fucking Price is Right. Dude, one
yeah, so
I was a little bit closer.
So I do that at 8:30 every morning, but typically I've tried to stop waking up at 4 because usually I go to bed late. Usually I'm asleep.
Yeah, dude, you've made the money, dude. You can fucking sleep until 5, bro.
1, 2 in the morning, and I'm up 4, 5.
Yeah, man, you gotta stop that.
It's terrible. I'm drinking coffee right now. It's terrible. So it's like
that's oh god. Between the Amiri shirt and the coffee
I'm drinking espresso
5 p.m.
Right now.
I'm sure he's making it at home, dude. Don't worry.
I got the espresso.
Dude, he's fucking waking up before Starbucks is open. He's got to be making it at home.
I got the espresso, man. It's life changing. So I literally I start the live at 8:30. And I post everything there. We kind of go over futures, rates, and the economic calendar at 9. And then by 9:15, we're kind of just talking, thinking about stuff. 9:25, I might play some music, maybe some dreams and nightmares. Hold on, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was just get hyped.
Maybe I'll get you there.
Yeah, and then 9:29 hits. Everything is serious. Mike's better, everything's serious. All right, let's get ready. Let's kill the market. And there's there's 13,000 people in the room, and by 9 o'clock every day, there's usually 1,000 to 1,100 people on voice. So it's a lot of people, and I mean, for me, I never want to have a bad day because if I have a bad day, chances are you're probably gonna not have the best day. So for me, I want to,
and it makes it worse.
I want to make sure that I'm always aware of what's gonna happen, what could come out, what's gonna be a speed bump in the road today, is there an economic event that I didn't even look at? And if that happens at 12 o'clock today or 2 o'clock and I completely have all these calls and then we sell off hard and I'm just loaded in these, you're probably loaded in them too. So I always want to make sure that, because I'm not responsible for anybody losing. I'm not responsible for anybody winning, but I don't want to put anybody in a bad situation. I want to make sure everything I take is liquid, everything I take is safe. Because at the end of the day, I do it for free because I enjoy it. And the amount of money people have made and the way I've helped people learn to trade, not just make money, but the fact that I've been able to help people like actually learn to trade, think about macros. A lot of people don't care about macro. I love it. So for me, being able to help people learn the whole puzzle, and I always say you want to take a step back and not see the tree, but see the whole forest, right? So that's where everything comes from. I want to take a step back, not see what's in front of me, but see everything from a bird's eye view. And it kind of clears things out for me.
Yeah. The question that I wanted to ask before I lose it is that you have so many people in there. And the one thing that I always see is that you only post the link certain times, correct? Like you only post the link randomly to Trust Bus?
Yeah, like yesterday.
So what's the method behind it?
So the bus started, I believe, in November. I actually texted you in December with that Tesla 50X.
Yes.
You ignored me.
I did feel like a jerk. Whoa!
I mean, let's just be real, right? So
okay, hang on a second. Do not make it sound like that. Okay.
No, he's a piece of shit. He always has his phone on like do not disturb. Dude. Don't make it, dude. You can't. My internet just when I get in here and I hear he didn't respond and he's like, oh what? No, he just doesn't respond, bro.
That's not. Listen. All right. Listen. All right. It's just you could call me. Like just call me. All right. Just call me. I'll always pick up. I promise. Well, I'll almost always pick. I'll pick up a lot more.
You hear the story. Switching days, just flip flopping right here.
Dude. He's like, dude, you send me a pigeon with a letter in it, and I always respond.
Like, send smoke signals, bro. Like,
dude, if you don't send a smoke signal, how am I gonna know it's serious? Like, it's just a text.
So the link from November to probably halfway through that year, link was open every day. But like I said, my Twitter account was smaller, and I always said like I'm probably one of the best traders out. And but when you have a smaller account, you don't get that respect. And as my account started to grow and grow and grow, it just got to the point where it's like I want to make sure the people in here are good, so I would lock it. And then you're posting, and then they're like, could you open the link? And I'd be like, okay. So I opened it. And then we got to the point where it's 5,000 people. And it's like, all right, there's a lot of people in here. It's free. We're not doing it to make money. We're just trying to have a community. And Adam Silver actually was like, he taught me that kind of thing. Like, it's about the community, right? It's not about everything else. It's about your community. So I slowly just kept reopening and opening it. And then we just closed it because we have 10,000 people. And then people want the link, so we open it again. Now we're sitting at about 13,000, and we opened the link yesterday for 2 minutes, 100 people. We put out 100 links, and there's 2 minutes, they're all gone. So a lot of people will do that thing where it's like, we're closing the link off, there's no more spots, like there's no more room. And they try to create fake demand, right? They try to create fake demand when they have plenty of supply. Us, we have unlimited supply and we have crazy amount of demand, but we don't make anything off it. It's more so we want to make sure the community is good. We want to make sure everybody in there is learning and actually making progress. We don't just want to open it up. We talk shit throughout the day when it gets boring. We have fun. But another reason was a lot of the time there was people shilling plays and paid. Like it got to the point where it became crazy. And it just we had to kick out people. Like it just got to the point where the internet stuff started kicking in, and you can't really control that, but you could limit it and kind of minimize it. So we started closing the link, and like I said, we dropped it yesterday for 2 minutes, and 100 people joined instantly. If I drop it right now and I leave it open till the end of this interview, probably 500, 600 people will join.
Do it.
What we should do is we should put it in an ambiguous place. Say it at the end of the pod. So for the 100 people that listen all the way through, that want
like Mr. Beast. Did you watch Mr. Beast's new video?
No, I actually turned 15 a few years ago, Mitch. I'm just playing. I do tune into some Mr. Beast. I'm not going to be like a young player hater. My bad.
Yeah, wait. Hang on. I like
he is a creative genius.
It's my entertainment. I don't really watch many shows. All right. Well,
But
fuck me, I guess.
Put it on something like maybe Vinny's thing. Like get Vinny or Christian. We'll get Christian to tweet it out somewhere, and then
His buddies from college are just
no
like
one looks
clicking
at
the
Christian's Instagram. Yeah. And we'll see if they can get it from there. We'll figure it out. We're obviously got to figure it out before you drop the podcast, but whoever edits it can just add it.
No, we'll figure it out after. Fuck.
Yeah, fuck it. One of our
scavenger hunt. So, last part, arguably the most important.
Did you get the Tesla?
The questions. Oh, yeah. Wait, yeah. Arguably the questions. So first off, there are some of these emails were questions for you were like pages long.
They emailed you, bro?
Well, I mean, we asked 4 questions.
Yeah, team@penniesgoingonraw.com. If you're ever
They sent you a
down,
carrier pigeon? You got back to him, Hugh?
I didn't. I don't even have the email.
Yeah, no, yeah. My Outlook does not have that one on there.
Yeah, no, I don't even get the emails. However, I have a screenshot right now of one question that is like 2 pages. Dan, which one you want to start with?
Well, I already asked him. I already asked him the one about his, the amount of charts, and we already talked about how he got started. The third one this guy asked, and this guy must be your biggest fan. He said, I heard some talk about a possible follow-up symposium?
You never been to an art symposium?
Yeah, I guess my vocabulary ends when it comes to doing lame shit. I heard some talk about a possible follow-up symposium by him and Rocky Trades the past few days. Would love to know if he has any dates set in mind and how we could possibly access the previous conference/symposium materials. I've heard many testimonials, so I'd love to pick the brain and continue to learn how to improve and that's where it cut off from where
What's a NASA symposium?
So me and Rocky did a 2-day, we were originally going to call it a boot camp, but that doesn't sound professional. So we went symposium. Dan could have said boot camp for sure. So we went symposium because it sounds all professional. We went over trading the news, following the volume, like how volume comes in before news, it precedes it. Like went over my trading strategies, his trading strategies. We had Dr. Bullshark on there for the day 2. And it was really awesome. We got a lot of people to come in. A lot of people loved it. A lot of people, like, since they've done it, they've sent like their accounts, and I guess those are the testimonials. But it was awesome. It was a 2-day thing for 8 hours. 4 hours each day. Dr. Bullshark, Rocky B, and me. And we really just went over trading the news, what we look for, following the volume, trading premiums, unusual whales, things that we use that have helped us be successful. And Rocky wants to do another one. Rocky and me might do another one. It's a lot of work. We might do another one this month at some point. And I'll post a link in the Discord I have now for the old material. There's about 4 pages of material, or 4 files. I got like 80 PowerPoint slides. He's got like 50. Bullshark had like 5.
Dan, you ever been invited to a NASA symposium?
No, I actually have never attended any symposiums, believe it or not. Well,
really?
Yeah, actually my title at my last job was boot camp manager but so I mean, maybe I manage symposiums for car dealerships. So.
Listen, NASA, first off, I'd like to tell my mother that I'm going to a NASA symposium. She doesn't need to know that.
A NASA boot camp does sound legit. Like, I graduated from a NASA boot camp.
We're going to the moon, boys. Get in. Listen, next symposium, I would like an invitation. Also, please call me.
I may not make it for the whole 8 hours, but
I'll be there. If we could take a little nap time in between, however, I will be there.
If there's free lunch.
Yeah. If we get the invite, of course,
Yeah. I'll send it to you.
I mean, if I get to the Discord, I have to fucking act quick, apparently.
No, I'm in the Discord right now as we speak. In fact, I just typed, "Yo, dogs." Ooh.
He's like, "Yo, trading time." You get banned. Okay, well, we got one more for you from a guy named AJ, and I think it's good. I think it'd be a good one for you. And sorry for everyone that's here from our Back to the Basics episode. We realize this is not really basic, but for all the real advanced boys, we got y'all. Good evening, gentlemen. Hope you guys are well. We are. Thanks. Hope you're well too. The intent of this message was to reach out proactively and ask if you have had someone to deep dive into gamma and net delta hedge positioning as a trading style. A glance over previous episodes shows me that no one has really talked about it. So thanks for listening to 188 other episodes to find gamma and net delta hedge. But we got you now. Do you you know anything about gamma and net delta hedge you want to kind of go over?
You know who that is? I think I think I know that AJ.
I'm sure you do.
You're gonna laugh at this. I'm pretty sure he trades net delta and gamma.
Well, that would make sense.
He may just be fucking trying to. He may just be trying to
dangle his way on here, I think. But yeah, I typically don't hedge that way. But gamma, not always, but for gamma and whatnot, it depends. That's kind of a big thing for how I pick strikes. It's also a big thing when you see stuff going to the money that has a lot of gamma and a lot of volume and a lot of OI. That's how the squeezes happen as well with the delta. It's things of that nature. But AJ, he trades. I'm pretty sure it's that guy.
As I'm reading further into it, I think he did just want to talk. So obviously, if people want to know more about it, we'll have to have fucking AJ on to tell them about net. And damn it, he fucking got us.
And NASA, while we're recording this, you like to talk a lot of shit about how I didn't answer your text. I have like 2 or 3 people inside your Discord that said, and quote, explicit, tell him explicit to answer my text. So I guess I'm not the only person who's not that good at texting, Sir NASA.
Y'all text me, I'll respond immediately. DMs don't work.
I can't, Hugh. They didn't call me, bro. Right? If they would have called me, I would have picked up. Right?
Listen, that's what I'm saying. I'm just the messenger. That's what I'm saying.
If I don't get an encrypted message like via NASA, like the space company itself, I'm not opening it because I don't trust the government. So I mean,
and then last thing. So there's a I don't know. I got a lot of questions, honestly. And so one person asked me to ask you about the premium ranges. Another person told me to tell you to plug not TLEN. Another person asked me to ask you about the Daisy indicator. And the last person said, and I'll just kind of shrink this down. The NASA interview is going to be a great one. Listen to him daily, and he just got a personality like nobody else. Would love to hear about his journey and life before trading, because by some of the subliminal things he's dropped, the guy has seen some things before he found trading. LOL.
Are you trying to say fucking subliminal?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, I was actually surprised nobody asked about premiums, because that's I thought that was going to be a big question, but premiums.
Well, we only took the ones that we liked, honestly.
Okay, so I trade premiums a lot, which is the quotes, and I go over that a bunch. But like an example of that today. So Discord crashed, and I went to Twitter Spaces. So premiums having ranges is when you look at quotes on option chains, you can see your risk reward way more defined, and you can see if you're chasing a play. You could see what that strike has done 1 day, 5 day, 1 minute, 5 minute, or daily. So you could kind of see what the risk reward is, what's the upside, what's the downside. And these premiums, the ranges are so consistent. I mean, I went on Spaces today and it was like 40, SPX was like 41.23 at the time. And I said, guys, these SPX 41.20s I'm going to take here. They're sitting at about 410 to 440. They're bouncing back and forth. These things were $6 earlier, $7 earlier. I'm going to take some of these. I got them at 440. I sold them at 6 within 5 minutes. I look back when it hits like 413 or something, and they're trading at 10. So then I say, okay, these things just went 4 to 6 like I said they would, because they did that earlier, the ranges, right? Buyers are stepping in here on SPY, so obviously the quotes are getting loaded here, and you could see volume on the quotes. So watch what's about to happen on the calls if we bounce here off SPY. So I said, look at the 4120 calls now. So both originally it was the 4120 puts, which were $4, 410, and they went to 600. I sold. They went to 10. So within 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, about they went from $410 to $1,000 per.
Jeez.
So then I said, if SPY bounces here, look at these 4120 calls now. Guess where the 4120 calls were trading at the time?
1,000.
410. So think about it, right? The puts, when I bought the puts when Spaces first started, and they were trading at 410. I bought them at like 440. They ran to 10. So then I say I sell these and I say, let me make a point, guys. Watch these 4120 calls. They're 410. Same distance away from the strike that the 4120 puts were at the time. What happens? Those things go to 7. So they go from 410 to 7, so 700 from 410, the same way that, the puts did. And that's where the premiums have ranges comes in. And premiums is probably my biggest trading style. That, along with volume, allows me to determine risk reward, what a stock can do, like an option, and allows me to see, am I late to this play? Have people already loaded it? Is it already like up 100%? Because if I'm buying it at 50, because I'm like, oh, this is a good price for this premium, like it's too out the money. But these things were $15 15 minutes ago. It's like, now you're buying it up 150% or something. So it's like, it allows me to get that risk reward and know if I'm chasing the play versus, okay, these things haven't popped off yet. Buyers are just now stepping in because you could see the volume on the quotes come in. And that's where I made my example on Spaces after I sold my puts. I said, watch these calls, and that's what happened. And then that Daisy indicator. So my dog, Daisy Dukes, there's this like indicator, bro. It's every time I take her outside, they'll be like, yo, let me know what she does. And if she shits, bro, the market dies. I swear to it's, bro, I don't make it, like, I don't make the rules, bro. There's 13,000 degenerates in there, and they've all come up with this indicator. So they're in puts, they'll be like, bro, take your dog out. I'll be like, why? They'll be like, bro, take your dog out now. I swear. And then before trading, I'm from Florida, Jacksonville, West Palm area. So yeah, I mean, life before trading, I mean, a lot of shit. I mean, life was
just fucking meth.
No, that's Alabama, bro, right?
hey, man, I would know. I mean, we're close by.
No, life was always, mom's was always good. Parents separated. Wasn't always easy. I used to wear, hand-me-downs and shit with my brother's initials on. Like, I'd wear his old underwear. I'd wear his old hand-me-downs. I didn't really have shit. And I mean, I've been everywhere, court, lawsuits, lawyers, seeing people die. I've seen it all, right? And for me, it's life, life's about testaments, like testimonies, like what do you go through? What does that make of you? Like, I live back where in Jacksonville now, where I grew up, my bus stop was a graveyard, right? So 6 a.m. every day, I'm at a graveyard going to school downtown. You're getting patted down. You walk in, fights every day, people getting stabbed, shooting at the bus. People I consider my brothers got murdered, like shit like that. And for me, that's when the trading and being able to take care of people, it's bigger than myself. Like for me, I was able to change people's lives. Like I was able to take care of people
bigger than yourself.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not about me. I could drop dead today and my family's good. My sister's taken care of. My girl's good. My dog is good. I've done enough to where people would be able to live comfortably. And for me, I mean, life isn't always fun, but it's still a gift though, right? Like I'm still here. Like I've seen people die. I've seen people do X, Y, and Z. I've had to partake in things. And I've had to fight cases. I've had to do everything. I've seen being piss poor, and I've been rich as fuck. And I wouldn't change a single thing along that route because it's what made me me. It's why I think I've stayed free so long. It's why I think I've gone the route I've gone and really done what I've done. Like, my brother got shot. I live in a 1-1. I have a 3-2 on the intercoastal down in West Palm with my boat dock in the back where I got my boat docked. But I live up in Jacksonville in a 1-1, so he could stay there because after that shit happened, I had to move him out of where he was, and he lives there on the intercoastal in a 3-2. Beautiful house, water in the back, my boat out back. But I live in a 1-1, so he could live there and be safe. So trading and things of that nature have provided me an opportunity to, take care of people I love and really, something happens, I'm the one who pays for funerals. I'm the one who pays for lawyer fees. I've been there, I've done that, and the money has allowed me to take care of people. So that's why trading for me is such an important thing. These people with no money or who are just trying to make some money, for me, it's like I want to make sure that I'm not putting you in bad situations. I know what it's like to have nothing, and I want to make sure that we all get fucking rich together because what's the fun in being, what's the fun in being the only rich one? We can't hang out. It's all good.
For a job where everyone's like, oh, they don't provide anything for everyone else, you really put into perspective how you really do. And also, I mean, another thing is how many other jobs can you have where you have that rewarding feeling of potentially like saving/changing someone's life aside from like a doctor or something like that? And what you're doing is super, super dope. So I think kind of to wrap it all up, do you kind of want to let everyone know where to find you, how to find you, and then we'll maybe be nice enough to open up the Discord for a little bit?
Yeah, so I trade 8:30 to 4:15 every day on the Trust Bus. It's a free Discord. Monday through Friday, no lunch break, no bathroom breaks. Every candle's hit. If you listen to this whole thing, when they drop the link to this, I'll post the link to the Discord. It's free. So once they drop this, I'll post the link so anyone who wants in, you guys could get in. And that's pretty much it. I appreciate you guys.
All right.
Thank you,
man.
bro. And
so much for coming on.
Shoot me a call later.
Yeah, he may respond. He may not.
I'm gonna call him at the randomest time this week just to see if this is true, Dan. I just want to see if he'll pick up.
Get it.
Listen, if I'm awake, I'll answer.
I'm gonna call him when he's futures trading just to see if he's fucking up.
You'll see the fucking he has do not disturb on. But all right, guys, we love all the listeners. We'll see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your trading week. Peace.
See you guys.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, he may respond. He may not. Who knows?
Pennies Going in Raw is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.